Welcome to Subramani, a new format where you can just look at nothing else except my face. So, continuing the access story, this is partly the access story and partly a general story on mutual funds and some of the risks. One risk which even the regulator doesn't talk about is the distributor concentration risk, and I'll tell you how it impacts a fund which is in some kind of trouble. Now let us assume there are 5 big banks or wealth companies which bring business to any mutual fund. Need not be Axis, it can be any mutual fund. Let's call them A, B, C, D, E. I don't wish to name them. So let us also assume that the 80-20 principle or something like that is applicable, and out of A, B, C, D, E, D and E may not matter much, but A, B, C concentrate and they bring say 50%, 30% and 20% of the business or something like that. Now, technically speaking, these companies or these banks or financial institutions or whatever you want to call them, they bring money from a lot of HNIs and super HNIs. They control them, or they advise them where to put. Now, one more thing which happens is some of these are big names, so they also like to make the right noises like corporate governance and things like that. Corporate governance, I could do a separate episode on that, but yes, corporate governance is going to play a big role in any mutual fund, etc. Because these out of A, B and C, let us say A decides that corporate governance standards are not good enough in say Franklin Templeton in 2020 or Axis in 2022 May. They feel, oh, this is not good, this is not enough corporate governance. Now that's a joke, but then well, that's their call is. So A decides that corporate governance standards are not enough, so I will give a sell call on a less liquid fund. Okay, so he gives a call and at the same time changes jobs and goes to B. Now here you have 80% of your funds coming from these 2-3 people. I'm not even talking of the money which you have got from IFA, MFDs, IFAs, RIAs, maybe other Indian banks, etc. I'm talking about the HNI money from these 2 people, 2 big banks, and they will influence many of their investors to say, see, corporate governance is an issue, why don't you shift? This is a huge risk for a company, which for any company this is a huge risk. So this is one risk which they will Axis will have to handle. And here it will impact everything. It will impact their income fund, their guild fund, anything, anywhere where these banks or wealth companies are doing. They will also ensure that they have. Remember that these guys have a very big mic. So they will be heard. Now some small IFA talks this language, he wouldn't be heard, so it wouldn't matter, but these guys will make the right noises and they'll speak to the right journalists who will make sure that they get enough television time and enough print time. So all these, everybody will say, yeah, corporate governance is a big issue. Sorry. As if everybody understands corporate governance and how it should work. I'm not very skeptical, but then this is the risk that they run. Will it impact the total AUM of a big fund house like Axis? Remember, it has got 2,60,000 crores of AUM. A little bit of redemption here and there would have made it 2,55,000 crores or 2,57,000 crores. So it is not really a small AMC. It has got the backing of a bank. So therefore, it has got backing of 2 regulators, SEBI and RBI. So as long as SEBI is concerned, as long as they are convinced that the company is taking the right action, and there is no reason to believe that the company is not taking the right action, I think this is also a question of, see, if you understand how a mutual fund works, they have a dealing room. Every dealer is supposed to be in the dealing room during the dealing hours. His phone is surrendered, kept lock and key from 9 o'clock to 3:34. Right? So at that time, what he is doing, only he knows, only the dealer knows. But come to March 2020 or maybe April, May 2020, when every thing shifted to the bedroom of the dealers, That was a time when the dealer could do exactly what he wanted with the access to some 10 phones or 5 phones and 3 TV screens, whatever. You have no clue how electronically wired his house bedroom was. That was one risk apart from the distribution concentration risk. The other risk is the MFD and the RIA will be wooed by the competition saying, look, there is corporate governance issues, why don't you shift the AUM here? We also have a small cap fund, we also have a mid cap fund, why don't you shift here? I will give you 25 basis points. Does it happen? Yes, of course it happens. Will it happen? Yes, of course it will happen. What is the other risk? The other risk is people who are traders in the market just go look at the portfolio of the mid cap and small cap of say Axis Mutual Fund and decide, oh, I'll just pick up one share. There is Cholamandalam Investment and Finance. It is not a very liquid share compared to say a Reliance or an HDFC. Axis Bank has to come to the market to sell this if there is a run on their portfolio. So therefore tomorrow Cholamandalam will be sold by Axis. So let me manipulate, let me sell it off today. Whatever I have, let me sell that, or let me buy put options, because as and when the share goes down, I will be able to cover it, right? So this is the people who are traders who are looking for opportunities, and it is perfectly right. This process is called market discovery. Now these guys go and sell Cholamandalam, which was at 750, and they beat it down to 600. Now Axis Bank comes, or Axis Mutual Fund comes to sell. They will obviously not get 750, they will get 600. So the person who went short is convinced that now they will start selling at 600, so it will go to 500, so I will be able to get it. Remember, unlike the debt portfolio, equity portfolios are liquid at a particular price. So if it is 748 is the price of Cholamandalam, you will be able to exit at 540 for sure. Right, you will beat down the price, and somebody may have already beaten down the price knowing that you will beat down the price. So these kind of manipulations will happen. Now I am just looking at the fund cash. The last reported cash is some 18% and 11% in their mid cap fund and large cap and their small cap fund. Also, when you look at their portfolio, at least in small cap, when I had a look, every share was 4%, 3% of their portfolio. So it's not going to be a liquidity crisis, exactly unlike in Franklin Templeton, where there was a liquidity crisis because the debt market liquidity vanishes when there is a problem. Equity market, especially mid and small cap, definitely liquidity reduces but does not vanish. At a particular price, you will get an exit. So now will Axis Bank, Axis Mutual Fund have to come to the market to sell? Yes, if they need money. But look at it this way, they are already sitting on cash. They can borrow up to 20% of their portfolio. Will they have a lender? I'm sure they will have enough banks which are willing to lend to them on their portfolio. This is the time when they can also make money. They don't have great opportunities to lend. Interest rates are rising. So all those things will also happen. So what happens if I have gone short in Cholamandalam and Axis just not come to the market to buy it? Well, there will be short covering for all jokers like me who have sold, anticipating that Axis Mutual Fund is going to come to sell. So we will do a short covering, and the price may go up to 800, right? Because we'll be desperate to cover our shorts. So that can also happen. So these are all the various possibilities, and then of course there is the regulator angle. Give me the printouts of the last 5 years or last 3 years, last 2 years, all the conversations that you have had, all your HR records and your email records, and all that will have to be printed, or I mean not exactly printed, will have to be put in folders and given to the regulator. So regulator will keep you busy, the press will keep you busy. People will talk about this. At that time, are you going to be able to concentrate on sales and say, please get me business? That's going to be tough. retaining your existing SIPs is going to be tough. So given all this, what should you do? I think you should not worry too much about the liquidity problem. Unlike the Templeton case, here liquidity will not be a problem. It would be nice to know, I would be very happy to get a statement from Chandresh Nigam, from Amitabh Chaudhary and all the powers that be, saying that all is fine. There is a big difference between the CEO and the powers that be saying it and just giving a simple statement. A statement doesn't really help. Well, I think Axis has cash. I think people who have sold anticipating the Axis sale may or may not be disappointed, may be disappointed, may not be disappointed. I don't see too much of sales coming. If the SIP flows continue, they just have to make sure that they don't buy too much, right? As long as their outflow is less than the inflow, that should be fine. Many people are sitting on losses, they won't sell. We are a funny country. We will sell only if we are in a profit. We are not in a profit, we will not sell. So the last 6 months or 7 months history may not be great, so they may not have made too much money. The other problem is, why was so much of Axis sold by the distribution committee community and generally by people? Is simply because we go on past performance and say immediate past performance, and everybody is guilty, not just the MFD, not just the banks, the managing directors and the CEOs and the CEOs, MDs, the CMOs. Everybody comes and talks about how great their last 1 year performance was or last 2 years performance was, forgetting that last 1 year performance, if it was very good, last 2 years performance looks good simply because the impact of 1 year return on the 2 year return, as simple as that. Sorry. So given all this, what should you do in Axis? I think you can afford to stick around, see what happens in the month, on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Also understand that the overall market may not be in great shape. There may be selling, so overall selling and therefore Axis selling, right? All that could come together. If I were you, I wouldn't panic now. I would wait. And the other way to look at it is to, if you want to panic, panic fast. So if you think there is going to be a problem, you should redeem. I am not in the you must redeem now category. I remember during Templeton times also, there were people who said you have to remove all the money from all the funds, remove all the money from all the credit risk funds, remove all the money from any of those funds which look risky. So even corporate bond funds, people removed money. People removed money from the equity schemes of Franklin Templeton because people didn't know whether it was a fund house risk or whether it was a product category risk. So all these things will happen, but I think the press has been less vicious on Axis. So Axis has a good team. I'm sure they will put together a good PR effort. And I think life will be fine in 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is. That's my feeling. I could be right, I could be wrong. Like I have said yesterday in my previous video, I have no vested interest in Axis doing well or Axis coming out of this crisis, but I think they will come out of it. They've got a team which can put together everything, and I think things would be fine. Thank you.